rather than making, I think it's 4 times as much as I had before, I'm making 10. Inside of here, we have a capacity to hold 1.6 TFE, which I believe is trillion? Hello everybody, and welcome back to some more All the Mods 9. Today, we've got a very packed day. Because what we're going to be doing today is I want to be able to get myself the induction matrix, which is basically a giant battery that holds a lot of power. But in order for us to be able to get there, we first need to be able to get to the Mechanism Advanced questline, which means we must complete the rest of the Mechanism line. I say the rest, but it's like just the rest of this stuff over here. Which means we're going to be making a lot of machines that once we actually get these machines, we'll be able to, I don't know the word beyond octuple, which is multiplying something by 8, but we'll be able to multiply our ore production by 10. So there is a lot of stuff that is going to go on here, and that means that there's going to be a lot of processes done today in conjunction with all of this. So basically today is a day of automation and energy. So let's start off with some more simple automation. You may remember in an earlier episode, I made these different alloys inside of my metallurgic infuser. This is the metallurgic infuser, this is its upgraded form, which will allow us to hold multiples of them, which is going to be very helpful in the future. What I want to do, because so many of these machines are going to involve these alloys and in these circuits, I want to automate their production. So we'll start off with that before we start to continue on by making the rest of these things. So, what I'm going to need in order to do this, all of these things are going to take the metallurgic infusers. I'm going to need multiple different metallurgic infusers, so I'll be able to take this one, and I also have these two right here, which I created already. Then, what we're also going to need is we're going to want to make ourselves an enrichment chamber in order to get the enriched diamond to maximize diamond production. Well, I guess say maximize, it's more of minimize diamond usage. Then after that, it's pretty much just going to be auto craftings within here. So because there's going to be so many processes in today's video, we're going to not build everything on screen. I'm going to go ahead and then set up some things, and then I'll walk you all through it.
5 minutes later.
Alrighty, so this is the setup that I'm going to try out. Hopefully it works. If anything does go wrong, I will rework it. But for right now, this is the basic thing that we're going with. So what we've got here, this is our pattern provider. It holds all the patterns within it, and since all these ones are processes, they can actually go out into a chest or any other adjacent inventory. So within this chest is where we're going to hold all the things that it is going to use for all these processes. Then, in the backs of all of these that have that available, not this one though actually, so I can actually go ahead and break that one, but in the backs of all these ones, with the config setting that I've given, this will be where the extra things go, being the yellow boxes right here, which basically gives all of them the fuel and stuff like that. Then the red boxes, which are the ones at the top, are the inputs right there. And I believe, if I did this correctly, the fronts on all of these should be set to output. Yes, they are, and they're all being powered from underneath. I have a little hole underneath these guys, but you all can't see it. So now, all that remains to do is to just hook this baby up. So we've gotten ourselves a wireless controller right here. No, not wireless controller, wireless connector right there. I forgot to connect the other one, though. So now, whenever I want to send out one of these recipes to test this, it will work all well and good. So then, the next thing that we're doing is we just got to connect the front sides on all of these ones to an adjacent chest. And I want to have my wrench, it was already right here, so that way we can then take the outputs out. And then on the top right here, we will then put this thing right here called the import bus. And then I just need to take my cables, and then we just need to connect these guys. If I have enough, I have one to spare. In fact, that is freaking beautiful. So why I'm doing it like this instead of like doing like where I could connect a bunch of cables and stuff to all this, with the way that AE2 works, the one that I'm using, it has a limited number of channels, which is these individual things that I'm using. So this pattern provider right here, this uses one channel. This import bus, this also uses a channel. So this way, I can mitigate how many channels I'm using for all of this. So it's all about constraints. So all that is left is to test this.
Later.
And yes, here they are. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Okay, so now that we know that our automation works, I don't need to test the ones that are in here because those are just craftables and I already know those work. Now what I need to do is I need to gather up these next machinery.
Much later.
Okay, it took me a little bit, but here we are. Behold, everything is completed outside of the induction matrix itself, because I did want to build that on screen because I've only built that thing once. Let's start with the important bit, which was the sulfur that we needed to make. How that worked is right over here, we had the thermal evaporation plant taking water from the sink and converting it into brine. That will then go into another evaporation plant, as well as over here, which I will explain in a second. The brine then converts into liquid lithium, which is then concentrated into normal lithium, which is then chemically crystallized into lithium dust. And then that is sent to an ender chest, getting sent back home. The other thing that the brine goes into is going into here, making sodium and chlorine. We then take the chlorine and mix it with, it's either hydrogen or oxygen, yeah, it's hydrogen, and then we get hydrogen chloride, which then goes into this chemical tank, which then connects to this entangled block, which goes over there. Then the oxygen over here is then over here mixing with some sulfur dioxide, which I've got my sulfur dust, which I never actually explained. I made some sulfur seeds for mystical agriculture and set those things up over at the farm, and those things are being brought over here from my ME system. Then that gets us the sulfur trioxide, which we do get to the sulfuric acid setup, kind of like with fissile fuel, just like not going that far onto it, because we only need the trioxide, not the trioxide, the acid, which then also is connected to another entangled block, which leads us over to basically the final version of ore processing within the mechanism line, the version 4, tier 4 as it is called. So right up here, this is where the sulfuric acid is connected to. This, I used a lot of entangled blocks in here so that way I could mitigate a lot of things. So rather than just explaining it all, I'm just gonna show you guys. Now, I will say this, one thing I do need to explain, there needs to be at least 3 of any ore. So this is gonna be good. Let's connect it. And then, ooh, we're starting with allthemodium. Snazzy. So that allthemodium then takes 3 of the ore and mixes with the sulfuric acid, which then makes, I believe it is 2,000 or 1,000, it's 1,000 millibuckets of it. And then it makes dirty allthemodium slurry, which then gets washed in the chemical washer by mixing water with that, making clean allthemodium slurry, which is then getting crystallized in order to make an allthemodium crystal, which is then getting mixed with the hydrogen chloride, which I automated over there, which is then creating an allthemodium shard, which then goes over into here during all these processes because it is going way too fast. Basically, once we get to here, we have the exact same process that I did before. It's just now, rather than making, I think it's 4 times as much as I had before, I'm making 10 for 3 ores. I get 10. Now, unfortunately, yep, we just had this situation happen. If there is only 2 of something, it will then break. So then I have to take that thing out and then like sort it out again. So that is something I'm a little bit concerned about. I don't know what I can do to fix that. Hey, Future Cookie here. So the solution to this was actually very easy. All I needed to do was make sure that only blocks would go in, because with blocks it only uses 1, and it still makes quite a lot of the slurry, even more than it would before. And the way I was able to get the blocks was just by putting a compacting upgrade in my chest, so then I set a filter to the pipes, which would send in the blocks. It was incredibly easy. Bye! So then, for the induction matrix, this is another multi-block structure, and it is pretty interesting in how this is gonna go. I believe the smallest one I am capable of making is gonna be with this one. So I need 44 induction casings, 2 induction ports, and 55 induction glass. None of this is too complicated, so we got ourselves the glass. Then this one is gonna be a small bit of a pain, because for the energy tablets, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and grab another pattern just to automate that one, and I already have one right there. There we go. That is good for me because like that would just be so much to just have to keep on automating that over and over again. So now that we've gotten that, we should just need to make 12 of these. And then that's gonna take a bit. Okay. So then while that is going, I'm gonna go ahead and then make some more patterns because we are gonna need quite a few of them. I'm gonna make as many as I can. There we go, 54 patterns. Much, much better. I doubt I'll actually need 54 patterns, but you know what, it's fine. And the tablets are done. So now we can go ahead and then make ourselves 48 of these induction matrices. There we go. Is that what it's called? No, it's induction casing. The whole thing's the induction matrix. Then I'm just gonna need an elite control circuit. Now I just need to combine those things to get ourselves the ports, and there we go. That should be everything we need to make the outer part of the induction matrix. Now for the interiors. So for the interiors of this thing, we need 2 things. We need the ultimate induction cell and an induction provider. It doesn't explicitly have to be the ultimate versions, but that's the one I want because you know what? Those would be the most powerful. So what these things do. The providers, I believe it is, yeah, those ones are how much FE I can take out of the matrix at any given time. And then you have the cells, which is how much I can hold. The more of each of these I put in and the higher tiers I have, the higher each of these numbers are. This is where things are gonna get spicy. Because now I'm gonna make a pattern for each and every one of these and their ingredients.
Much later.
And there we go. All of these are things that I need for just these 2 things. Oh my gosh, it is so freaking stupid. So now I just need to go ahead and then make these guys. So I'm gonna start with the cell, and I'm gonna start small. I'll do 4 of each of the. Oh. Okay. That's fascinating. I need a lot more iron, and I need a lot more lithium. Fascinating. Okay. What about the other one? The provider. How much stuff am I gonna need for 4 of those? A lot more of everything, I see. Huh. Oh boy.
Much later.
Alrighty, it took me forever, but I did finally manage to get 1 of each. I probably won't get any further until later on. So for right now, this will work good enough for our purposes. So, this is all enough. I heard the blaze burns go off, but this is all enough for a 5x5, so let's get started. I need to build out this little base right here in this kind of fashion. Then, we can go ahead and put our ports there and there. I believe if I use my configurator, I can change that to output. Yes, I can. Then I just need to go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then, inside of here in anywhere, I can go ahead and then put these 2 things right there. And then after that, we just need to fill up the rest of this. The builder's wand might work to fill the rest of these in, just to why. That should be all well and fine. And then I believe the rest of this on the top should be able to be the structure glass. And yes, it can. Absolutely beautiful. So I believe I can just click on this thing anywhere I can. And then inside of here, we have a capacity to hold 1.6 TFE, which I believe is trillion? It should be. Then after that, all that's left to do is slap a flux plug on the output one and set that to all the power. And why I'm setting this one to all the power is because this way, the only ones I'm going to end up having to change are the ones that are actively generating power. So we can go ahead and put this thing right here, and then we'll want to create ourselves a new, unless, does this work? I mean, that does kind of work, but it's just sort of going back and forth between the two. I don't want that to do that. So then let's go ahead, and then I want to create a new network. There it is, create a new network. And then this one will be Sum of the Power! And then we'll have it be like a weird, like, beige or something, I don't know. And then we just go and put that public. There we go. So now, we just need to change the rest of these guys out, Sum of the Power. And then, all of that energy is then gonna go into here, and then out of here for wherever we need it. And anything and everything that generates power, I'm gonna change to Sum of the Power. So like this one right over here, that'll also be Sum of. That should be all sources of power generation I have of them. So then after that, we're also gonna want to change one of these batteries right here to Sum of the Power. That way, what's gonna happen is, when that one fills up over there, the induction matrix, when this thing is full, then that one over there will then also act as a backlog. So that power goes to here, then to there, and then to here, and then to everywhere else. There are so many steps in between, and it is all for the sake of lasting as long as we can, just in case something goes horribly wrong. But there we go! We got ourselves our induction matrix, which is the first step into our advanced mechanism, where we'll be able to get into all sorts of reactors and antimatter. I probably won't do that until I've done more extreme reactors though, because like, it's gonna take a lot of power, and extreme reactors probably gonna be my best way to do that. So let's go ahead and collect all of our rewards. I know that a couple of these, oh, glowstone seeds, that's gonna save me some time, but I do know for a fact that these ones right here are not going to be collected because we've got ourselves some advanced ones. Ooh, atomic alloy, very nice. What about this one? Steel block, not that good actually. Steel casing, I literally have infinite steel for days. Lithium dust, I've also got that for days. Cool. That aside though, did you like this video? Good. Then be sure to check out our last All the Mods Died video, where we built this turbine to help get us even more power, and I'm probably gonna need to make another one. Bye-bye!